Of all the fights, you've had 50. Who would you say was your toughest opponent?
You got guys that punch hard and hit hard, and you got guys that come out and win a few rounds. But nothing really was tough.
Floyd fired the referee in the middle of the bout. He stops the bout. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Castillo got robbed.
Max Kellerman made his position crystal clear. Famous for his keen insights and bold commentary, he didn't just present a fresh perspective. He launched a direct challenge at one of the sport's most iconic personalities. In doing so, he may have sparked a major debate, splitting the fan base and prompting many to rethink what they believed about the sport and its legends.
Sugar Ray Robinson, how many wins he got? I said he got like over 150 wins. He stopped for me. He said, but who got more championship titles? Me or him? I said, hold on, Floyd. He said, answer the question. I said, Floyd, there's more titles now than then. There was just one then. That's no fair. Answer the question. I said, okay, you. Do I not have 28 titles? And I was just like, I don't know. He said, oh, you're supposed to be the expert. But the reason why I said that is because there's minor and major titles. Who else greater than me? I said, Henry Armstrong, Roberto Duran. He said, oh my God. He said, you said something about Pacquiao. Yeah, I said, I think you'll beat Pacquiao every day of the week, but I think he had a greater career. He said, you ain't think Pacquiao was on steroids? I said, he didn't fail any tests, Floyd. He said, look at me in my eyes. I can't say, man, he didn't fail. He said, oh man, you fake. I saw that as a initiation. This is what you about to get. Nobody's greater than Floyd. My thing is, he should feel that way, but you can't expect everybody to feel that you're the greatest, Floyd.
He hasn't held back when it comes to criticizing Floyd Mayweather's legacy. With unfiltered honesty, he's been on a mission to challenge the long-held narrative, making it known that, as far as he's concerned, there's a new undefeated champion at the top.
Wild, because like if you look at Floyd's resume, it's much deeper than Crawford's. And Floyd was faster and he had a better defense and all that stuff. But Floyd picked and chose when he fought guys, especially once he left lightweight. He wiped out the junior lights, bring him. Lightweight, he jumps up to Jose Luis Castillo first thing. A lot of people think he lost the first fight, then I didn't, but then he won the rematch. But once he left lightweight, he was careful about when he fought guys. So even though his resume is deeper with names, people remember, yeah, but he didn't want it with certain dudes at certain times. Crawford, we all witnessed, even though the resume is thin in certain ways, he wanted it with everyone the whole time. Oh, yes. That makes a difference to people.
Who did Floyd fight that was on his level when he fought? Only Canelo. That's it. Don't give me that stuff about the other guy that was going to prison. Cotto, an all-time great? No. Cotto's an all-time Puerto Rican great. You waited till Pacquiao got knocked out by Marquez before you fought him. If you'd have fought him 4 years ago, it'd have been something. Because both of y'all were here. We'd have found out who the best was. He fought Shane Mosley at 38 years old, and it still was a good fight while he left. Shane almost took him out at 38. He fought Oscar De La Hoya at an old age. My point is, you didn't do it the right way. You know that. Who else did you fight besides them best two names you can pull up? I'm just saying, Floyd never fought nobody that was of his equal.
It began as quiet murmurs, the kind that tend to trail legends like Floyd Mayweather. Despite stepping away from the ring, his influence still hangs heavy over the sport. And when he speaks, people listen.
Provided everyone unrealistic expectations. You could win every fight, basically never get hit, and make all the money. it's not going to work like that for the most part for everybody, you know? Like, it literally only went that way for one guy.
I love Floyd, but it seems like everybody's afraid to have that O, to have a 1 or 2 where the O used to be. Ali lost. Sugar Ray lost. Hagler lost. Hearns lost. These guys lost. When did the O become the end-all, be-all?
I think Mayweather, you know, and how he made it big to the public. Like 47 and tried, 47 have failed, and then it got all the way to 50, and it's like, you know,
break Marciano's record.
Now retired, unblemished. Andre Ward, unblemished. You know, Joe
Calzaghe,
unblemished. You know, and it's like, when people look at him, they be like, man, that dude never lost before. You know, people can't say that. You know, a lot of people can't say that.
As the buzz around Terence "Bud" Crawford being the top pound-for-pound fighter intensified, murmurs from Mayweather's circle started to surface. They weren't issuing direct challenges, but their carefully placed comments seemed aimed at subtly casting doubt on Crawford's reign, a classic tactic from the Mayweather camp to reassert dominance. But this time the strategy backfired. Max Kellerman, who's followed Floyd's career closely for years, took notice, and his fiery response caught everyone off guard.
Floyd was fighting everyone right up until the point where he started to make money. But as much credit as you get for making, the primacy of business, for making business your priority, well, that comes with trade-offs. Because when you make business decisions constantly, sometimes your athletic achievements won't be regarded in the same way as if you made athletic achievements your priority. That said, Mayweather has accomplished a tremendous amount athletically. But the 3 fighters he didn't fight, Antonio Margarito, Manny Pacquiao, when he was obliterating De La Hoya, Hatton, and Cotto, and Shane Mosley when he still had something left. And while he will wind up fighting Pacquiao and Mosley, it'll both be, at the right time for Floyd. That said, what about at the right time for Floyd? He's also ancient. A fighter approaching 40, fighting at the level Mayweather is fighting, is unheard of. Mayweather, until recent times, would be considered one of the greatest older fighters of that would be the whole story. Oh my God, can you believe how old Mayweather is? It's a little bit unfair to Floyd to say, well, you're picking these guys at the right time. Floyd is.
This wasn't the usual thoughtful breakdown fans had come to expect. It was intense, unscripted, and poised to shake the foundations of the boxing community. The first major shock came when Kellerman tackled the ever-heated debate, Mayweather versus Crawford. But instead of applauding Floyd's spotless record, he delivered a bold statement that stunned many. In Kellerman's eyes, Terence Crawford's willingness to chase the toughest opponents, regardless of risk, has already carved out a legacy even more impressive than Mayweather's. He framed the contrast between the two as a clash of philosophies. Floyd, especially after moving up from lightweight, was portrayed not just as a genius inside the ropes, but also as a calculated businessman, someone who strategically built his resume by selecting the right fights at the right time, often facing elite opponents only after they'd passed their physical peak.
Pacquiao you're describing, who knocked out Ricky Hatton, who YouTubed Ricky Hatton, turned YouTube into a verb, what he did to Ricky Hatton, and then destroyed Cotto, and before that, and then just the way he beat De La Hoya even before that,
Well, De La Hoya was old, though.
Sure, but Mayweather fought those guys basically at the same point in their career that Pacquiao did before them. Okay. And the reason that Mayweather-Pacquiao fight was hyped up to the extent that it was is that, boy, Mayweather's this all-time great, and Pacquiao is doing these guys even worse than Floyd is doing them. Everyone wanted to see that fight. That Pacquiao's been gone for a long time. So why don't fighters retire when they should?
Kellerman didn't dance around his point. He said it plainly. And when the focus shifted to Crawford, his delivery took on a tone of deep respect. He described Crawford as a true throwback fighter, someone who doesn't shy away from risk, but runs toward it. A competitor who's constantly chasing the toughest battles, eager to face anyone, anytime.
Put 5, that's right.
Wow. That's cheating.
I love it.
That is cheating.
That's a heel turn.
You the boss.
That is heel.
That's a heel turn.
I love it. You do that 5,
Now, here's the thing.
Wow.
Roy at his peak, just remember this. If Roy would have retired after the Ruiz fight, he would have replaced Sugar Ray Robinson as the greatest fighter of all time.
I agree.
Right? But he didn't, and the rest of that stuff is in there, right? So I get it, but Roy at his peak, I think, had a higher peak than anyone on this list.
I agree.
Okay, Manny Pacquiao, we've all said it a million times. I think he is, outside of Sugar Ray Robinson, I have Manny Pacquiao's second greatest pound-for-pound fighter ever. Floyd Mayweather never lost, and did he cherry-pick when and where? Yes. But guys, from 130, 135, he cleaned out 135, he beat the best guy at 130, beat the best guy at 135. Yes, did he pick and choose at 140, 47, and 54? Yeah, but he won all those fights.
That's right.
And he beat a lot of good fighters.
No.
And more than that, put Floyd at his best with anyone through history, you do not know who wins. Floyd Mayweather beat Manny Pacquiao, it's true. Floyd is one of the top 10 greatest pound-for-pound fighters who ever lived. Tough to argue otherwise. But pound for pound, he can't be above Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao was a flyweight champion. Not that he turned pro at flyweight. He was good enough as a flyweight to be the lineal champion, the real champion. Now, he didn't win titles in every division. He skipped some of these, but I just want to tell you how flyweight, junior bantam, junior feather, junior light, junior welter,
He's rapping again.
Junior middle.
He's rolling.
And he laid waste to these divisions. He fought great fighters. He never ducked anybody.
Mayweather, no disrespect at all to him. He's one of my favorite fighters growing up. Love watching him fight. Perhaps the greatest boxing business person of all time. Look at actual boxers in the business. But I don't want to see many fighters come out of retirement. He's done everything he can do. He's one of the best fighters of all time. Stay retired.
Kellerman highlighted Crawford's dominant performance against Errol Spence Jr. and his clinical win over Canelo Alvarez as clear, irrefutable evidence. To him, Crawford's refusal to duck any challenge wasn't just impressive, it defined what true greatness looks like. He argued that this fearless mindset was exactly what Mayweather's later career seemed to be missing. That statement alone could have sparked major controversy, but Kellerman wasn't done. Not even close.
He fired the referee in the middle of the bout. He stops the bout. He's like, get the fuck out of here. Get out of here.
Because he's the promoter also.
Well, I guess. I mean, also, it's Floyd Mayweather. Like, what's the referee going to do? Floyd throws this punch, and he's 100% correct. The punch landed the side of the head. It's a right hook. It's a perfect punch. And the referee was saying, watch the back of the head. He's like, what the fuck are you talking about? That wasn't the back of the head. And so he kicks the guy out, and they bring in a different referee who finishes the fight. It was insanity.
To fully appreciate the intensity of this debate, it's important to remember that this isn't Kellerman's first major clash with Floyd Mayweather. Their histories have been intertwined for years, largely due to one of the most talked about predictions in recent boxing memory, a professional shadow that still follows Kellerman today. Long before the iconic showdown with Manny Pacquiao, Kellerman was among the loudest and most respected voices forecasting Mayweather's downfall. He repeatedly argued that Floyd's renowned defensive skills were bound to deteriorate, convinced that age and accumulated damage would eventually catch up to him, and that his unbeaten streak would come to an end.
Who would your top 5 be?
Sugar Ray Robinson.
Number 1?
Yeah, and then pound for pound. See, Pacquiao he started as a flyweight champ. Not just he started his career there. He was the champion at flyweight and then moved up. There are so many divisions between flyweight and junior middleweight where he also won a belt. Even the fact that he could compete with Floyd Mayweather, who's a naturally bigger guy and one of the greatest pure boxers, Pacquiao's overall body of work, you could have him second pound for pound behind Sugar Ray Robinson.
How come I'm watching highlights of him knocking people out though, as little as he is, man?
Oh, that dude, it's the calves, man. He's got those fast twitchies and those big calves jump in on you and generate a lot of power. Crazy hand speed and power from a southpaw. Really awkward, hard to beat, lightning fast. Pacquiao was all that.
Kellerman wasn't just predicting a single loss, he was forecasting a total collapse for Mayweather. But that collapse never happened. Instead, Floyd went on to decisively beat Pacquiao and retire undefeated, turning Kellerman's bold prediction into a running joke among boxing fans, often cited as evidence of his apparent bias against Money Mayweather. This backstory adds an important dimension to the current debate. It raises the question, is Kellerman's strong push to boost Crawford's legacy a fair, objective analysis, or is it a strategic move in a long-standing rivalry, an effort to rewrite the conversation about greatness itself? Just as fans were digesting his take on Crawford, Kellerman widened his critique to challenge what many consider the ultimate boxing honor, Mayweather's pound-for-pound crown. Responding to a recent ESPN ranking that named Floyd the top fighter of this century, Kellerman didn't hold back. He insisted that pound for pound, Mayweather doesn't even surpass Manny Pacquiao. According to him, Pacquiao's rise from flyweight, champion to welterweight powerhouse, conquering multiple weight classes and never avoiding tough opponents, represents a historic achievement that Mayweather's meticulously managed career can't match.
Pacquiao wasn't able to make flyweight. He was a flyweight who won the lineal championship. So if that's not the most, or one of the 2 or 3 most impressive things in the history of boxing, the fact that he could move up, give me an example of another flyweight who was the lineal champion, moved up, won a bunch of titles in between, and then was that good as a welterweight. Pacquiao won lineal titles, indisputable, that's the man who beat the man, or else putting belts together. No one had ever done it before, ever. No one ever did that. No one ever came close to dreaming about doing that, and then Pacquiao did it. So the fact that Pacquiao is even competitive with Floyd Mayweather, who's one of the greatest pure boxers ever, do any of us believe that if they were the same size naturally, Floyd would beat Pacquiao? You really think that?
And Kellerman wasn't the only one voicing this opinion. Rising boxing star Ryan Garcia also stepped forward, publicly supporting the view that Pacquiao deserves to be ranked ahead of Mayweather.
My favorite, and you are right.
Yeah.
But he did beat Pacquiao, and nobody has changed the game like Floyd Mayweather.
He mastered the art of knowing when to fight somebody and when not to fight somebody. I mean, that he's the best in that game. He's the best in, you know, making money and making all the, you know, the huge fights happen. But why? Because he was timing every single one of them. He never fought nobody really in their prime. He always
after junior lightweight. Junior lightweight,
he changed the game in the worst way possible. You're right. Everybody's trying to protect their own. I had to break that, right, with Tank.
Like, that's one of my idols. Like, I really look up to Pacquiao. Like, people don't know, but like, he's one of the people I look at. I'm like, man, like, this guy is everything I would want to be, you know, as a career, as a fighter, because he did everything, like, you know, with such grace, and he did, you know, put up spectacular fights. He helped out his community. I'm trying to do things similar like that, but me, I'm more of I want to give back to, you know, like the younger generation. I want to help them with like anxiety.
ありがとうございました。それでは最後のツーショットですね。スーパー3分。
Kellerman wasn't the only one voicing this opinion. Rising boxing star Ryan Garcia also stepped forward, publicly supporting the view that Pacquiao deserves to be ranked ahead of Mayweather.
Really say something negative, I could really say something positive. But when it's all said and done, and we all approach situations in a different way. Rather Tank was to win or he was to be on the other side and take a loss, I would have stood right there behind him, 100%. And it's no different from you guys seeing a lot of times Tank vent out on social media, but I'm right there. He's young. So if I'm with you through the good, the bad, and the ugly. And I've always spoke about loyalty.
Nobody would do business with you if you act like this.
But it happens a lot in boxing, though, right?
Oh yeah, because
to be
it's
common in
strategic.
boxing, yeah.
Floyd was telling him all these things.
Floyd's given this counsel to
Yes.
Devontae.
Who do you think is telling him to do the rehydration clauses and not, you know, putting all these stipulations on me? You can't do this, you can't do that. The ring needs to be this size. It's Davis Garcia. It's not. But all these things were all by Floyd. Hey, this kid is different. You're gonna say he is different, and you're gonna say, I have no worries on whoever he fights. You're gonna say that. Just spend a week with me. That's all I say. Let's go hang out. Let's do what we do. You're gonna see something different. And I'm not here to prove myself to nobody. At the end of the day,
no, bro.
Even though people hate Floyd Mayweather, I love Floyd Mayweather. This guy is almost 50 years old, and he's still like taking pictures with all his watches. When I go on a trip for 10 days,
I take 30 watches with me.
If I go on a trip for 20 days,
I take 10 more watches.
It's a 30-day trip.
Then I bring out the watch that costs $18 million.
And he pulls out like this $1 million.
The digital world erupted in response. Boxing forums and Reddit communities, especially ERR Boxing, quickly turned into heated battlegrounds. The backlash was swift and deeply divided. While some fans applauded Kellerman's boldness, others condemned his remarks as sacrilegious. One viral post on the R. Bill Simmons subreddit captured the mood perfectly, titled, "Max Kellerman just shattered decades of goodwill in the boxing world in a single weekend." Many shared this view, seeing his statements as a betrayal of the respected boxing analyst they had long trusted.
Money could you reasonably walk out of this fight with?
350 million.
$350 million.
Yes.
Wow.
it's like, don't do that. You ain't Mayweather. Derek told me never to do that, and I was like, he'll never admit that, but he did say that.
Where did it come from then?
I was just doing it. Like, I was just like, all right, like, let me see if this works. It kind of did. Like, he really couldn't hit me for 2 or 3 rounds. Then he started figuring it out. And I'm like, forget this. I'm going to go back to being me.
On the other hand, some fans rallied behind Kellerman. They dug up old clips highlighting a nearly prophetic statement where Kellerman had declared Crawford the top pound-for-pound fighter since his victory over Brytis Prescott. Looking back, this showed that Kellerman's view wasn't just a sudden opinion, it was a firmly held belief that recent triumphs have only confirmed.
Great fights never take place, or they take place too late, like Floyd Mayweather and Manny Pacquiao. They fought too late. I mean, if that fight could have been arranged by Riyadh Season, they probably would have caught them both in their prime, and it would have been chaos.
Yeah, Manny was dying before that.
And he also had a blown shoulder going into the fight.
Yeah.
He needed shoulder surgery before the fight even started.
When you take a closer look at Mayweather's career, as Kellerman is now urging everyone to do, one night often stands out, a moment when Floyd's seemingly untouchable legacy nearly unraveled before it truly took off. The date was April 20th, 2002, and the opponent was the tough, relentless champion, Jose Luis Castillo. For 12 intense rounds, many fans and analysts believe Castillo did the unthinkable. He outperformed Mayweather. He pressured him, landed more punches, and even the unofficial HBO scorer, Harold Lederman, had the fight in Castillo's favor. Yet when the judges' scorecards were announced, Mayweather was awarded a highly disputed unanimous decision.
Of all the fights, you've had 50. Who would you say was your toughest opponent?
You got guys that punch hard and hit hard, and you got guys that come out and win a few rounds, but nothing really was tough. I've been in a boxing gym and guys have given me great sparring and great work. They say ass whooping will humble you. I go home and say, you gotta tighten up, champ.
Yeah.
You gotta get it together, champ. And then sometimes I go home and say, is this for me? I make mistakes, but I strive every day to be a perfectionist. And we all know God only made one thing perfect, and that's my boxing record.
Though Floyd would go on to secure a clearer victory in the rematch, the controversy from their first bout has never fully faded. For Kellerman and many critics, that fight stands as the ultimate asterisk on Mayweather's perfect 50-0 record. It's Exhibit A in the argument that his spotless career wasn't entirely free from luck or questionable judging, leaving a lingering doubt. Does the 0 and 50 represent unmatched greatness? Or does it mark the night the boxing world saw a plan to beat him, only for the judges to rule otherwise? Kellerman's words didn't fall on deaf ears. Once they hit the public, other prominent voices in the sport had to respond. His longtime sparring partner in debate, Stephen A. Smith, was quickly drawn into a heated exchange with Kellerman, reigniting their signature fiery discussions. The conversation spread beyond commentators. Fighters like Claressa Shields also joined in, weighing in on Kellerman's provocative takes about boxing history. It seemed as though every corner of the sport, from analysts to active champions, was drawn into the debate. Some defended Floyd, citing his victories over legends as proof of his dominance and accusing Kellerman of recency bias. Meanwhile, others began scrutinizing Mayweather's record more critically, giving new respect to Crawford's undisputed titles across 2 weight divisions. What was once a niche viewpoint was now front and center in boxing discourse. And that raises a key question: why now? Why, after years of analyzing Mayweather's career with respect and admiration, is this debate reaching a fever pitch?
I remember that fight like it was yesterday. I do, being a big Floyd Mayweather fan. Floyd didn't really perform well. Castillo was just making it very tough on him. And I remember after the fight, the CompuBox numbers, and I remember the stats, and Castillo landing more power shots. And I was like, uh-oh, because being a fan of Floyd, I was like, man, Castillo, he landed the more effective punches. Then they had total punches, and Castillo landed more there. Floyd Mayweather had one arm against Castillo, and he lost. He clearly lost that fight. Why the judges call it how they called it, that's just boxing. But he lost that fight, okay? And he should. That's what happens. He was injured. Castillo, one heck of a fighter, pressured him and beat him. He should have gotten the nod. So I'm thinking, this is how I feel overall. Floyd Mayweather, he's undefeated officially. We will have to forever say that. He's 50-0. We can't lie. We can't change what it is officially. We can't call him 49-1, 48-2. The guy is 50-0. But Castillo got robbed.
Why did Max Kellerman choose this moment to launch such a strong critique? Some believe it's tied to his recent career changes. After his widely publicized exit from ESPN's First Take, Kellerman has resurfaced as one of boxing's leading commentators. This bold stance might be a strategic effort to cement his reputation as the most fearless and influential voice in the sport. Or maybe it reflects a genuine shift in perspective after witnessing Crawford's remarkable rise. Watching Bud take down 2 of the era's best fighters in successive bouts may have reshaped Kellerman's understanding of what greatness truly means. The real reason remains unclear, adding another layer of intrigue to this ongoing saga. At the center of it all is Terence "Bud" Crawford. And here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. Despite Kellerman's push to place Crawford above Mayweather in the legacy debate, Crawford himself reportedly disagrees. Known for his calm confidence, Crawford has expressed deep respect for Mayweather, even siding with him in discussions about who deserves the title of the greatest of all time.
I don't think that Floyd created this as much as people think that he did. You know, he fought Corrales in his prime. He fought Genaro Hernandez at 21 years old, who would still only had one loss, and that was to Oscar De La Hoya, and he was a reigning champion. I remember Floyd Mayweather, when he was, and granted, we're not going to compare a 33-year-old Canelo, who's a little bit past it, to an ascending Floyd Mayweather at 21 years old. But Floyd Mayweather, there was 3 major world champions at the time, right? The WBO title was sort of lackluster at the time, but there were the 3 champions were Azuma Nelson was aged, Genaro Hernandez was still rather good and had only lost to De La Hoya, and Arturo Gatti at the time at 130 pounds. And he took on the toughest of those champions Mayweather did at 21 years old. Usually you'll be looking for a soft touch for your first world title. He took the toughest one on and then dominated the fight. So
wiped him out.
And then he defended against, guys like Corrales. And then he went up to 35 and fought Castillo right away. You know what I mean? So I don't want to hear the whole, is it the Mayweather thing? Mayweather did this later, but he did so much.
While Kellerman continues to stoke the debate, even floating the idea of a dream matchup between Crawford and a retired Mayweather to settle the score, Crawford's respect for the boxing legend remains steadfast. This creates a fascinating, almost ironic tension that complicates the whole narrative. Why would a fighter at the height of his career hesitate to fully claim the crown being offered? It speaks to Mayweather's lasting impact. Or maybe it's a savvy move by Crawford to avoid getting caught up in the drama. Ultimately, Kellerman's comments were more than just a bold opinion. But the most surprising twist isn't Kellerman's stance, it's Crawford's own response. The discussion has evolved beyond a straightforward Mayweather versus Crawford debate. It's now a complex triangle involving a fierce argument, a legendary undefeated record, and a reigning champion who might not even desire the throne. This leaves us with a deeper question. What does it mean when a fighter's own view of greatness clashes so sharply with that of his loudest advocates? The landscape of boxing history is shifting, making this story more intriguing.
The way you beat Canelo tonight, Spence a couple of years ago, everyone is going to start making comparisons with your legacy to Floyd Mayweather. How do you feel you compare with Floyd with the resume you have now?
Listen, Floyd was the greatest in his era. I'm the greatest in my era. It ain't no need to compare me to Floyd or Floyd to me.